The world has become a much smaller place, so we carefully watch what happens in other governments when it's election time, and probably no closer examination than that of Israel, our closest ally. Israeli voters have dealt a setback to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They had parliamentary elections yesterday, and it basically netted out in a deadlock between Netanyahu's hardline bloc and center-left rivals. And that's forcing the Prime Minister to put together a coalition of parties from both camps, despite some pretty dramatic differences on Mideast peacemaking and other issues. Israeli media is saying that with 99.8% of the votes counted, each bloc has 60 of the parliament's 120 seats. We are joined by the Consul General of Israel here in New York, Ido Aharoni. So nice to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's talk politics first, and let's look internally. What does this mean as far as putting together a government for the State of Israel?
Well, it is true that the two blocs are in a deadlock, but the Israeli system is dramatically different than the American system in the sense that Israelis do not vote for a personality, they vote for a list. Now, the list, according to the Israeli law, that receives the largest number of votes, in this case, it's the Likud Beitenu headed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, is given a mandate by the Israeli president to form a coalition. Prime Minister Netanyahu is more likely to receive the mandate from the President of the State of Israel by next Friday, because the official and the formal results will be submitted to the President only next Wednesday, a week from now. And then he will be given 28 days to form a coalition. It is certainly a possibility. He will have many, by the way, many possibilities, but certainly it is a possibility to form a coalition that will cross the bloc boundaries. In other words, he can reach out to parties from the other bloc, from left of center bloc. He belongs to the right of center bloc. So Israeli politics is very dynamic, very vibrant, and we'll have to wait and see what happens.
What does it mean to issues that are very much of interest to the United States? Number one, negotiations with the Palestinians. Number two, settlement issues. And number three, what has been characterized as a chilly relationship between the Prime Minister and the President of the United States.
Well, it is true that the 2013 general elections in Israel were about domestic issues, unquestionably, but it doesn't mean that the Israeli voter, who is a very savvy, politically savvy voter, doesn't have in the background the main issues, the existential issues that we face. The threat posed by Iran from the east with its nuclear ambitions, the unfolding events around us, the regional turmoil, mistakenly referred to as the Arab Spring, of course, the ever-present threat posed by terrorist groups like Hamas from the south and Hezbollah from the north. All those issues were factored in by the Israeli voter.
But as he now begins, the Prime Minister, to assemble a government, you have key forces that he must work with who are saying that a search and negotiation with the Palestinians for a genuine peace is a precursor to their involvement in the government. You have President Obama, who in his inaugural address basically communicated that he is against some sort of armed conflict with Iran. These are set up circumstances that are polar opposite of the right-wing stance that Prime Minister Netanyahu ran on. How does it play out?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. It is a possibility that the Prime Minister will form a narrow right-of-center coalition, but it is also a possibility, more likely, that he will form a different kind of coalition. We will have to wait and see. But one thing for sure, Israeli democracy is going to be very interesting, if not to say fascinating or intriguing, in the sense that it will always produce new directions, new ideas. I think that what you will see is a very lively debate within Israel about the direction of the next government.
Do you believe the Obama administration and the Netanyahu government are in lockstep when it comes to Israel's security?
There is no doubt that the relationship between the scope and the magnitude of the cooperation between the two administrations when it comes to Israel's security and to American interests in the Middle East is unprecedented in its strength, in its depth, and in its ability to cover all the bases.
Very quickly, President Obama has nominated Chuck Hagel as the Secretary of Defense. His relationship with Israel has been tense when he was in the Senate. We've certainly covered the fact that he made reference to the Jewish lobby, perhaps ill-spoken words. And his position on Israel has been questioned even by Senator Chuck Schumer, although the senator has now decided to support his nomination. Where does the Israeli government, who will very much rely on Defense Secretary Hagel if he's nominated, where do you lie on his nomination?
Well, we have no better friend than the United States. And we believe that Israel is America's strongest ally in the Middle East. And so we believe that whoever will assume that position in the future or any other position, the relationship will remain strong and solid, and as the president himself said, unbreakable.
Very quickly, do you believe that it will take military force to contain Iran during the second 4 years of the Obama administration?
Well, we think that Iran poses a threat to the entire international community. It is true that we happen to be situated at the forefront in terms of our geographical location, but Iran threatens not only Israel. It threatens the way we live. It threatens almost every stable regime in our region. And we believe that what it takes is a well-coordinated, well-orchestrated international effort to stop Iran.